look, I'm a businessman. So I know it's going to zero. So I said, if it's going to zero, why don't we just make it zero the first year? So what I did was I wrote it off to zero the first year and claimed it as if I could get more places, see more customers, if I could triple or quadruple or 10x my product. Be with you, man.
So I'm going to start off, of course, with saying appreciate the fact that you agreed to share some of the golden nuggets with my audience and with me personally. And one thing that I always love about what you do is the fact that you always say, I'm not an influencer, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
That is just something that it's a mic drop right there. And the first question that I would have for you would be like, what drives you every day, even now? Like I look at your stories every single day, like at 6 a.m. you're up, you hit the gym, then you go at 10 p.m. you go live on Instagram and you start doing like a lot of things going on. Like what drives you day to day even now?
So, look, I'm a businessman, which means I'm taking risk every day and I have an obligation to employees. So I think a lot of people are struggling with how to find that thing, that the energy. I get asked this question all the time. Where do you get your energy from? Which is really, people are probably like, hey, I'm struggling finding the passion and the purpose and the energy and the juice every day. When you obligate yourself, I'm being pulled to places most of the time, not pushed. What I mean by that is I have obligations in front of me that pull me forward. So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I don't want to get up. I want to stay in bed and I want to rest. But then I have 2 miles from where I live, 150 people, 174 employees preparing to do a meeting this morning. And then 174 people getting ready to go to work. And they're going to go into battle and they're going to go into war. And I just don't feel, I feel like I have an obligation to go help the team. It's not about me anymore, it's about the team, right? So this is unfortunately what so many small business owners don't have the benefit of. They don't have people pulling them forward because they don't have a team. They're trying to do it on their own.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. And and that's like, super important for me to actually hear that coming from you. But if you would look back, I know you always say you didn't get into sales because you wanted to or because you liked it, is because you had to. So what would you say is the number one thing that helped you craft the skill of selling back in the day when you were first starting out?
Look, I had to learn how to sell. I live 2 miles from here and I was coming over this little bridge. There's a bridge the first third of the trip. And I told my wife, we were driving over the bridge, I said, I've been crossing bridges for 36 years. When I was 25 years old, I had a sales job. And to get to that sales job, I had to go across this bridge. It was like a 20-minute trip, 25 minutes maybe. The entire time I was listening to training, educational materials about how to be a better salesperson. And like other things that I've learned, I didn't like sales in the beginning. For instance, another thing I didn't understand or really like learning about was finance. Real estate was very difficult for me to learn about because I didn't understand. When I read the Wall Street Journal or one of these financial magazines, I couldn't read. I didn't know what all the stuff meant. When I started studying real estate, I didn't know what all the terms meant. And when I got in sales, I didn't know what people were talking about. Like I didn't understand. So when you don't understand, it's uncomfortable, right? And you feel a little lost when you're in a country with a new language. And so I just took it one day at a time and just every day on that drive over the bridge and on the way home, 25 minutes there, 25 minutes back, 25 minutes there, 6 days a week, man. I got in 300 minutes of training every week. That's 5 hours of training a week. At the end of a year, I had 250 hours of training on sales.
Oh, wow.
So at the end of a year, I had gone from hating the job to being in the top 1% because I was educating. If you educate yourself every day, on a topic and don't finish, like in school, you go to math class and then you finish. I was never finishing. I was like repeating the data a second time, a third time, a fourth time. I couldn't afford a new program. So, and by the way, when it started working, I didn't go listen to another program because I just wanted to understand that one even better. So when you put in 250 hours a year educating yourself a little bit every day, one day you become good at what you do.
There's no other way. Like keep putting.
Look, if you go into the gym every day and work your biceps, I don't care what your body looks like today, you're going to build biceps. It doesn't matter the structure of your body. If I prepare for a marathon and I don't quit, I will run one sooner or later. If I educate myself on money every day, sooner or later I will understand it. And this is the thing that people don't do. This is if your business depends on sales, if your household, if your life depends on revenue, sales, income, you got to learn how to talk to people. And that's what I was doing when I was 25 years old.
No, that's powerful. And I mean, like you just said it, there's no other way to do that. I mean, once you put in the work all day long, it's just, there's no other result. So I know you've built your empire, or at least primarily at the beginning, through cold calling. And I know you say you're not an influencer, but you do have a lot of influence, especially online now on YouTube and on Instagram. If you would be to start off again, how much do you think cold calling versus the world that we live in today with the internet and access to all these platforms, what would be the number one tactic that you would use to kind of get what you want to get even faster, or like just to 10x it from the get-go?
Well, it would be easier today, but to be honest, I was dependent upon cold calling just because I was cheap and I was scared. I was so scared when I was 31 years old. I was starting to make a little bit of money. I was so scared about, I didn't know how to use the money. I was thinking so small that if I made $10,000, I tried to save all $10,000. Once I had my living kind of handled, like I never spent money. Like I didn't buy fancy watches. I got this great watch on right now. I wasn't buying any of that kind of stuff, but I also wasn't spending any money on advertising. So 30 years ago, before the possibility of being a social media influencer existed, I could have bought money, billboards, TV, radio, newspaper ads, all that stuff I could have bought. I didn't because I was too cheap. So fast forward to today. Now you got so many options, and so much of it is free, that this is where the confusing part comes in though, right? People are now think they have likes and comments. Likes and comments are not a business. Okay, like don't even brag about your following if it doesn't monetize. And I don't want to hear about this like, oh, we're going to monetize in 15 years. I got a long, I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah, that's good. Uber's in it for the long haul too. They're going to spend $1 billion this year. Google's in it for the long haul. They're going to make, probably 25 billion. So there's two companies. One's going to bleed money this year, and one's going to make a bunch of money. The smart entrepreneur business owner will figure out how to be an influencer, but most importantly, how to be a business person that's profitable. It's easy to lose money. It's easier just to get likes and comments and not make any money. So the guy that's like, I don't have anything to sell, I'm not selling anything, I'm not making money here. Yeah, don't brag about that. That shouldn't be a badge of honor. That is indication that you have not figured out how to turn likes and comments into money. And then the other argument is going to be, well, I'm just being charitable. I just want to help the world. No, hey man, nobody can help the world if they don't have the funding to do it. So you come from a part of the world where money becomes very important when things go bad.
True.
In America, we haven't had any external threats to really experience that. And so we tend to forget that property can be taken. We're a little diluted over here. Everything's great because we're Americans. And so a lot of this advice comes from Americans that are like, Yahoo, let's just get some likes and comments. Okay, Kim Kardashian gets likes, comments, and all the money. So she figured out how to monetize the moment and the influence. And she is a true business person.
It's so important, the fact that you mentioned that, because a lot of people that will watch this, of course, they're familiar with you, but they're also familiar with like the things that they're able to do on Instagram and all the rest. So this brings me actually to your 10X Growth Con. Like this year, you just put together the biggest business conference in World, and you were able to fit in, you know, a stadium worth of people. What do you think was the number one? And I always like to kind of pull, you know, tactics and strategies that actually work, that can be replicatable. Like, what do you think was the number one thing that helped you guys? Was it the fact that, you know, was it your email list? Was it retargeting? Was it mainly, you know, cold calling? People that have bought books?
Everything. It's having the team all on the same page to get to make sure all activities lead to this one thing. Like, I'm getting ready to stop all I'm gonna stop all our advertising for the 10X Growth Conference.
You're gonna stop it?
I'm gonna stop all my advertising, and I'm only gonna target people that have been to our conference.
Got it. So retargeting people that have already bought 10X Growth Conference.
Emails, retargeting, phone calls, DMs. I'm only going to target. I'm going to use organic social media to communicate to those people. I'm going to spend ad dollars to get new audience to be introduced to me, but I'm going to use energy and effort, creative energy and effort on my email list, my organics, my DMs. Smart marketing back to target groups via email and text to sell out my stadium. Because look, Facebook cost me 4 times more this year than it did last year to find a customer. I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. It's just not worth it, okay? That means, because think about what I got to do. I got to convince somebody who I am, what 10X is. I got to explain all this bullshit. I don't want to explain it all. Okay, I don't want to go through that process. I want to advertise something and get a transaction done. So the problem with an ad for like a conference is I have to get somebody to know who I am. Then they're going to go Google search me. Then half of them are going to decide they don't like me. So that didn't work. And then the other half is, okay, explain to me what 10X is. Okay, explain to me when it is. Okay, explain to me what I get. Okay, explain to me what and by the way, we're getting ready to be in Christmas. So it's like, none of this is going to happen.
The cycle is
5 months from an event that I will sell out in the next 60 days. People are giving me money today for something that happens in the future 5 months from now. So to pull that off it's crazy. It takes crazy, genius, creative marketing, not necessarily advertising. So you got marketing, you got advertising, and we have promotion. Those are 3 different things. Most people confuse all 3 of those things in one sentence. Promoting is I'm pushing up something. I'm pushing up my advertising and my marketing. And then there's branding. Branding separate from the promotion, the marketing, or the advertising. Branding is I'm searing it into the public's mind, or even into the competitor's mind, where competitors actually start using 10X and start stealing it from me.
Yeah, and then the whole brand explodes because of that, because it's all the compounding effect of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you just mentioned like all these things, right? Like all the pieces kind of get glued together. But if we would look at this behind the scenes, like your 10X event, the business bootcamp, the e-commerce, the speaking, certifications, your real estate investments, like how do you keep them all together? I know you mentioned, you know, the team is the most important thing, but if we would look like past the team, like what's the thing that actually glues all of these things together for all of them to be profitable, and then at the same time to kind of be connected, like all together?
Well, because what we do is we create products and services that are connected. You know, I'm not selling water and then suddenly selling
I get the point. Yeah, like
Google services. Everything's kind of connected with us. So when I tell somebody, hey, by the way, when you get my 10X Growth Conference, I'm going to give you access to Cardone University. I'm advertising 2 products. Now, this goes to a more complicated and even simple strategy, whereby people need more inventory. You got to have inventory that's connected. You know, when you were a kid, you know, they said, hey, the leg is connected to the ankle to the foot bone connected to the knee bone, whatever, right? My business, almost everything is connected. It's a body of work. There's the millionaire booklet, then there's the sales, then there's the closing, then there's the follow-up, right? Then there's the team building. Then there's the second sale. Then there's the product lineup. And all of a sudden I help a company go from hiring somebody to teaching them how to sell something, and then suddenly I have them growing their business. Then I become a partner in their business, and then they're investing money with me at Cardone Capital. They're all connected.
No, that's like super smart. Just the way that you position it right now, it's like insane, because you help them from the beginning, and then as they grow, they have different things to invest with you. So that's like,
I got people every day that do business. They do business with me. They don't have any money. There's no way to transact with them. Free to be the way to do it. Okay. So then there's people that don't want to do anything for free. There's people out there right now that, Johnny, you know what I need? I need something like this. Yeah, whatever. Particularly for these in the future. There's people that they refuse to take anything for free. They will not do it. They don't feel good about themselves if they get something for free. Like, I'm one of those people. I don't want things for free. I want to exchange with people. Also, it is vital. Your best customers will always want to exchange with you. I know people that if I call them up right now and say, I want to come in, I want to do a free meeting, they're like, no, I don't want it for free, because they feel so obligated. And a quality person is going to want to exchange with you. Number one, a quality customer will always want to exchange with you. Number two, you want people to exchange with you, because when they do, there's actually an economy, a force being created where we have a flow, a circuit, a current. If I just flow energy to you, bro, and you never flow it back to me, it's going to stop. I'm going to exhaust myself. Okay, but if I flow energy to you and you flow it back to me, then that's how a battery works. Batteries go back and forth, they're terminals. But it has to be a current going back and forth, a flow. When I give a customer something for free, this is where me and a couple of the other social influence guys really butt heads. And they think it's because I want to make money, but I want my customer to feel better about me. And the way you can feel better about me is to give me something back. Okay, because sooner or later, if you've ever given anybody advice, you give people advice and just keep giving them advice, they're going to end up hating you for the advice, even if the advice was correct.
Because they want to go a little deeper into, having conversations or having different business relationship with you, and they want to understand more. No, that's like something super, super powerful. And I hope everybody that's watching or listening this gets notes. So this brings me to the $1 billion question. Like, I know your business allowed you to invest for so long in real estate, but then I've recently watched an interview of you, and you talked about the purchase of the jet. And I actually posted this poll on my Instagram recently, and everybody wanted to know if the jet was an investment or an expense, and how would you look at that? I know that's something that kind of like pumps you.
So look, I got a buddy right now looking at buying a jet. I said, hey, bro, look, you cannot make sense of a jet. Okay, there's no making sense of it. There's no, I don't care how big your company is or how much money you make. You can never make sense of a jet. He's like, yeah, but then you say it makes a lot of money. I said, yeah, but that doesn't mean you can make sense of it. If you're trying to make sense of a plane that costs $3 million a year, you're not going to make sense of it. First of all, you got to buy it. Okay, that jet's $50 million. First, you got to buy it. If you don't have the cash, then you got to finance it. So that's going to cost you even more money. And you could, a guy could sit here and say, oh, I'm gonna make more money with it. You could have made more money without the jet. So there's no making sense of it. That doesn't mean you can't make money with it. Okay, now that being said, it is definitely an expense. And it is more of an asset, even though it's not actually an asset. It would be considered a liability only because I know it's going down in value. But you see, the problem with accounting, dude, is everybody thinks accounting is black and white. Okay, when I bought that jet, I knew that jet will end up in a salvage yard one day. Value, zero. I knew that when I bought it. So I know it's going to zero. So I said, if it's going to zero, why don't we just make it zero the first year? So what I did was I wrote it off to zero the first year and claimed it as an expense, 100% in year one. That knocked out all my taxes for that year and for a future year. It wiped out some taxes for the next year. So now my cost basis is zero in the jet. But if I go sell the thing right now for $30 million, I'm gonna lose money on it. Okay, if I wanted to sell it by the time the weekend's over, then I'm gonna have to sell it for less than it's worth. I sell it for $30 million, some guy comes over, buys it for $30 million, maybe you buy it for $30 million. Okay, I just lost $20 million and I got to pay taxes on $30 million because I wrote it down to zero. So I'm getting freaking, that means I will lose $20 million plus $15, I'll have $15 million tax bill. I'll lose $35 million. So there's no making sense of buying a jet. But if I use the equipment correctly, if I can get more places, see more customers, if I could triple or quadruple or 10x my productivity, then maybe I can make money with it. But you can never make sense of it. Make sense?
That was the best answer. I didn't actually expect that. Like, you can make money, but you cannot make sense of it. No, that's actually super powerful. And yeah, because we're talking about investments and things like that, at what point would you recommend somebody, instead of them, like, for example, is there a number that you would put on somebody's business and say, okay, when you cross this number, it makes sense, it makes more sense for you to start investing into real estate instead of keep reinventing in the business? Like, what do you have anything like?
I don't know if I can answer it exactly like that, but I can tell you that, somebody said to me the other day, well, I can make 100% of my money if I buy ads on Facebook, or if I invest the money in my business, I'm gonna, okay, well, why are we talking about this? I'm only gonna earn like 15% a year on my investments in real estate. But I would rather earn 15% on passive income than earn 100% in my business. And I'm not going to do one or the other, so I'm going to do both. So the reason you want to do real estate is because the 15% continues after I'm dead. And so the 100% that you earn in your business requires you to be in your business. Somebody's got to be there. Somebody's got, oh yeah, but I'm not really there anymore. If you're running a business and growing a business, if your name's on a business, you're responsible for the business. So if the company gets in trouble with one of the country's regulators, they're calling on you, even if you're not there every day. I know a company, they made $400 million last year. They got in some trouble with a regulator here in the United States. They're going to file bankruptcy. They're going to lose everything. Every owner, every executive will lose everything they had. Owning a business is a massive, massive risk and obligation. Real estate protects you in those situations. So if I die, if I get hurt, if I went to prison, if something happened to me, that real estate keeps going, man. It's just going to keep going. And that's the difference. So I don't know when you do that. I did it while I was running two companies. And so what I would do is when I got more money than I could reinvest in the company, I just started sliding into this third deal quietly.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of money too.
That's even more important.
What did you hear today? And then how can you use it in your business? Because Because a lot of times people listen to these podcasts and they're like, yeah, but I'm not there yet, or he's in America, or, you know, I don't have his personality. What people need to do is they need to look for how it can work. When you hear something, how can that work for me? Rather than how it can't work. What can I do with it? So that's what I'd like to see. What decision did somebody make because of this podcast? Because every day I see somebody talking about somebody's podcast. Oh, this is a great podcast. But what are you going to do with it? Like when I read a book, before I read a book, man, I'm trying to decide. Somebody sent me this book. It's on a piece of real estate right now. Before I open this book, two things. What can I learn from it, and how can I buy this? What am I going to take away? What am I going to learn from this? From a promotional standpoint, maybe.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to find one thing that's good promotion, or promotion I don't want to use because I looked at this book. And the second thing is, how can I buy this piece of asset? How can I buy this asset? Third is, once I read the financial statement, what do I need to know? What did I learn about a piece of real estate? That's what this is. It's a real estate brochure on a $140 million real estate project. So what can I learn about the financial statement that I didn't know? I'm not just reading data all day long.
One thing that I always want to do with all my guests is, can we leave people with one short-term task for them to implement, and then a long-term? Like long-term, you already shared with us, you know, making sure that once you decide, okay, I also want to invest in real estate. So I guess it's pretty obvious. But if it's one thing that people can actually start implementing today after they listen.
So today, this is what I would challenge everybody to do today. Go out and make some money today. Go out and make $5, $10, $15, $20, $100, $500. Make a decision how much you're going to go get today. You don't need to make the money. You just need to go get it. Come up with a strategy to go get some money today. This is the thing that people are not confronting. So two things, short term, today, just today, 24 hours, one day, till the sun goes down, go get some money that you didn't have. That's not yours. You could sell clothes, you could sell some old shoes you got, you could go beg for the money, you could wash somebody's windows, you could make a sales call that you've been putting off. It doesn't matter to me how you do it, just go get it. You can get the money from your mother, for what I care, okay? Number two thing, what are we, November right now? November, I don't know when you're gonna play this, but you got 60 days, set a certain amount of money that you wanna have saved by the end of this year. Extra money that you didn't have saved last year, that you can put away, that you can go get some money from somebody else and you can sock that money away. I've done this with so many people, where I'm like, hey, what's the most amount of money you ever saved in your whole life? One guy, Brent Abdullah told me he had never saved more than $5,000. Okay, that year I had him save $65,000. His whole life, he was 35 years old. His entire life, he had never saved more than $5,000. In 11 months, he saved almost 11 times that. No, 12 times, 12 and a half times that. Just because he had the intention and a target and somebody to hold him accountable.
That's powerful. No, and again, thank you for making sure that people get a specific thing to do after this episode.